We have the season's 16th tropical depression that has developed this morning. The Hurricane Center has just designated this Tropical Depression 16 based on the satellite loops that we're looking at. And an Air Force plane is going to be investigating this this afternoon, and we'll see if it has attained tropical storm status. The next name on the list is Nate. One of the things that we can see from the loop is that there's very little wind shear going on. Clouds are rotating around what appears to be a circulation center. If I had to guess off the visible, it's somewhere up in there, and there are some curved bands of convection that are rotating around it. So the only thing that may inhibit some intensification to a degree is the fact that it is its proximity to land. There's Central America, Nicaragua, Honduras, and also the fact that this is part of a large gyre of tropical moisture that extends down into the Pacific. You can see on the Pacific side, there's quite a bit of cloud cover there and convection. And on the wider view, you can also pick it out quite well. Also complicating matters just a little bit is we have this area of disturbed weather that's sitting in the southwestern Bahamas. It's been bringing some rains to Florida over the last several days. This is non-tropical in nature at the moment, and I think it probably will remain that way. But we've got strong upper level winds here that are preventing this from developing into a tropical system. What may eventually happen out of this is that you might get some kind of a low, a surface low that may try and form. But I really think that that's going to be minor as it moves up toward the northwest. This is the area, of course, that we're going to be concerned about as it takes a track somewhere across the northwestern Caribbean and eventually finds its way up into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. When we look at the hurricane models, the hurricane tracking models, they're all pretty much showing this moving into the central or eastern Gulf. The models have actually shifted to the east. The European model probably is best represented by the track in the this brownish line, the farther east track. I'm not sure exactly what model that is of the hurricane tracking models, but the European was very close to this idea of taking it close to the western tip of Cuba and then into the eastern Gulf of Mexico and eventually into the Florida Panhandle sometime late Sunday or Sunday night. At least that is the plan of attack at the moment. So we do have the new NAM out, and we can take a look at the new NAM, courtesy of tropicaltidbits.com. Thank you, Levi, Cowan, as always, for your wonderful work and for letting us share it. So here we don't have tropical views of the NAM because it's basically just the United States down to about just a little bit north of 20 degrees north. So, but as we move it along, you can see that low that you see there is part of that disturbed weather that's sitting off the Bahamas. That's not the tropical system. That's going to burst onto the scene here later Friday afternoon. You see it come out into the Gulf of Mexico and turns it eventually going north and northeastward. It does bring the pressures down low enough that the NAM would certainly suggest that this could reach minimal hurricane status, and indeed the Hurricane Center is forecasting that to happen in their official forecast. Now let me just show you what's going on in the upper air. Because you do have this ridge in the east that begins to flatten out a bit. The jet stream is running across the Great Lakes and into New England. We have a trough that's coming out of the plains, and there's a bit of a ridge off just east of the Bahamas there that's steering this system northward, and you can see it here. Now another trough approaches that comes out of the plains, pulls it up, and the ridge off the east coast weakens, and that causes this to turn eventually toward the northeast. So to do something like this, I think this could potentially be a significant rainmaker for the mid-Atlantic states and maybe on up even into southern New England next week as this moves northeastward, provided that the model is correct in this idea of it being a bit more to the east rather than to the west. You got to get them to go up the east side of the Appalachians in order to produce a substantial rainfall here. And the rainfall, I say substantial because of the fact that it's been bone dry for the last month plus in some areas. Some spots haven't even seen a drop of rain. So this does have the potential for at least alleviating some of the dry conditions. We're not in any kind of drought at this point again, but certainly it has been dry from for the most part from late August into this first part of October. So this might give us an opportunity to break that dry spell. So we will, of course, check with as the weather models come in this afternoon, and we will update you on this this evening.